Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Thursday. It's November 2nd. It is 2023. We have 4 NBA games to talk about here on today's podcast, joined today by Christy Metzger. You know her in the DFS streets as Krayton12. Right? It's 12, I think. Yeah.
Good.
All right. Yeah. All right. I just typed it on Twitter too, and I questioned myself instantly when I said it. But Christy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, we were just kind of talking. It's a busy sports season right now. Lots going on. World Series going on tonight. Football, basketball, all the sports. So yeah, lots going on for us for sure.
Yeah, Zach Gallen, if you haven't been watching the baseball game, Zach Gallen is pitching an absolute gem. He is absolutely dominating the Rangers right now. And Eovaldi, he's kind of matching him pitch per pitch right now. So pitchers duel here in game 5 of the World Series. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, baseball season is almost over. I mean, this World Series, it hasn't been the best, but like I'm still so pumped that it's the Rangers and the Diamondbacks facing off against each other. I feel like 2 really deserving teams. So anyway,
couldn't agree more.
You had a good baseball season. You had some live finals.
Yep.
How's basketball season going here through the first week and a half?
It's off to a good start. Really, it is. Shout out to our projections team and just all of our content at RG. We just have some great team members that contribute to a lot of different things. And so off to a good start for sure.
Yesterday, we talked about how you can switch off if you are, especially on the smaller slates, if your lineup's kind of running behind as far as NBA DFS is concerned. And we talked about it in football and stuff. An update for the listeners that listened yesterday. I made an extra $150 by doing the swap yesterday from Goodwin, Powell to Jones, Highland. So, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And yesterday it worked out. So there you go. It didn't work out for Keith. We won't bring it up to Keith when we do the podcast later, but it didn't work out for Keith. So let's get into it. 4 NBA games. We have 3 of the 8 teams on back-to-backs. That's always fun. And then the in-season tournament for NBA starts on Friday. We'll talk a little bit more about that on Friday's podcast, but I'm really interested in this in-season NBA tournament thing that they got going on. Listen, to try to get more people interested this early in the season, I get it. I think I would have waited a couple more weeks to do it, but whatever, something to follow along with, right when baseball season is kind of finishing up. So it doesn't hurt my feelings. So let's get into this NBA slate. We start with Toronto at Philly, 215.5 total. Philadelphia, a 8.5 point favorite. Toronto is on the second end of a back-to-back, so we'll be paying attention to the injury news here. Precious did end up sitting on Wednesday. He's dealing with a groin. I don't know if he'll be back or not. I think for the most part, Toronto should be good to go. Like Siakam, Barnes, Schroeder, Jakob Poeltl. These guys typically play back-to-backs. The only one that I would say potentially, maybe questionable. I know OG has been dealing with a little bit of a leg injury. Maybe they sit him on the second end of a back-to-back. And then on the Philadelphia side, Nicholas Batum is not going to be in uniform yet. He was part of that trade from the Clippers. It might sound like he doesn't suit up for this team. We'll see how that kind of plays out. But let's start here with the Toronto side. What do you like here for the Raptors?
Yeah, so for the Toronto side, I have some interest in Dennis Schroeder. He's been off to a good start. I think he's 5th in assists just to start the season so far. So have some interest in him. Scotty Barnes has been playing very, very well. So priced up there. But, I think on a 4-game slate, I'm going to have some interest in him. And then Jakob Poeltl, he's having a heck of a game tonight. I know he's got quite a few blocks and some things like that. So at his price point at just 5.9K, certainly have some interest in tournaments there. Siakam is probably a little bit overpriced for me, more of a tournament play. For me, maybe a little bit of the Scotty Barnes, Jakob Poeltl, Dennis Schroeder are probably a few of the guys that I'm looking at on the Toronto side.
Yeah, we talked yesterday about Dennis Schroeder's assist prop and something to pay attention to. It wasn't up yet. I hope everyone listened to that because he crushed his assist prop in the first half of that game. So it ended up, I think it opened at like 7. It teetered at like 6.5 and 7. So it didn't 7.5. It didn't matter what you got it at. I think he finished with like 9 assists, and that game wasn't necessarily close. So it was a really interesting game, that Milwaukee Toronto game, because I mean, who had Toronto winning that game by 19? I didn't. So.
No.
I like the Dennis Schroeder call. He's been someone that's been playing fantastic here. You know, you kind of alluded to his assist rate being one of the best in the NBA. I mean, he's sitting around 40%, and I don't think, that's not adding Wednesday's slate into it, but it's not going down. He had a really good game again. So I keep preaching about Scotty Barnes. This is a new look Scotty Barnes. We just have to accept it. We have to be okay with it. He's playing phenomenal. He's eating into the usage of Siakam. Yep. So I think Siakam's ceiling is kind of capped. I think Barnes and Schroeder are the plays here. I don't love this spot for Jakob Poeltl. I mean, he's going to get some solid minutes, and he's not overly expensive, so maybe we need him. But, I mean, it's a 4-game slate, and I think we'll get a little bit of value with 3 teams being on back-to-backs. Going to the Philly side here. I mean, the Philly side, we are – like Covington, Morris, Martin, like they're assuming they're going to be active and good to go. They're not on the injury report as far as like the trade is pending, I think still, but they're not on the injury report. So there's a chance like Philly gets a little bit more crowded in this game. And I mean, that's obviously a little concerning, especially with the fact that like, the usage has been spread out outside of Embiid anyway. I mean, Maxi's usage is pretty solid, but I mean, no one else is over 25%. What are your thoughts here on the Philly side?
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned too, like you mentioned, with some of these new guys coming into play here. We're not exactly sure how that's going to look, like you said, with Covington, KJ Martin, and some of the new guys. So, obviously Joel Embiid, I mean, he has, huge upside. Big ceiling there. So always going to have interest in him in tournaments, especially on a 4-game slate. He can break a slate. He did the other night, putting up a ton of points. Tyrese Maxey, I mean, he is priced up there, but I mean, he has certainly been putting up the points. I think when I was looking at the points, I know it's just been a small sample size to start the season, but you've got Joel Embiid, who's leading 6 in points, 31 points per game, and Tyrese is right behind him, 7th at 30.3 points per game. So I think for tournament upside, I think those are 2 guys that you can certainly look at. Probably less interest in guys like Kelly Oubre, Tobias Harris. If we didn't have some of the new guys in the rotation, probably have a little bit more interest in those guys. Don't mind those as, maybe last pieces. You've got DeAnthony Melton in there too. But for me, it's probably Embiid and Maxey are 2 of the guys that I'm looking at, just because a lot of the usage runs through both of them, and they both have good upside for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not price wise, they're kind of priced up, and I mean, they haven't negatively correlated against each other yet. So I mean, I don't have an issue playing both of them together and just saying, hey, I'm going to stack. I don't think this is the game to stack of the 4 games. But I mean, I think like if you're just going to take the approach of, oh, this is going to be a super competitive game, close game, that's where you potentially get some ownership here on the Philly guys. But I'm with you. I think Embiid or Maxey. I think if you are not playing Embiid and you want to take a shot on like Tobias Harris, I think if Embiid doesn't get there, it's probably Maxey and Harris getting there. So I think that's correlated. Oubre, I'm worried already. Like his minutes are a little concerning. The game the other night against Portland was a blowout, and he didn't get that like final, 5-6 minute run. So maybe we shouldn't be worried. But he's 5,800. I don't mind taking a shot on him if you're not taking a shot on like Maxey or something.
Absolutely.
All right, Detroit at New Orleans, 221.5 total in this game. New Orleans, an 8-point favorite. Both teams on a back-to-back here. As far as injury report, Wednesday, Duren didn't play in that game, and then Alec Burks was out Wednesday, so we'll have to kind of see. He was dealing with like a forearm injury, and then on the New Orleans side, Brandon Ingram missed another game. with a knee injury. We have no idea if he'll be back or not for this game. They did not say like he's out Wednesday and Thursday, but I would definitely consider him very questionable for this Thursday game. Let's start with Detroit. Fun young team. Keep talking about it. What are your thoughts here on the Pistons?
Yeah, on the Pistons side, it's been great seeing. Is it Ozzer Thompson? I mean, he's just been great to start the season, and he's 11th overall right now for rebounds per game, and he's having another solid game again tonight. So I definitely have interest in him until he's, he hasn't been priced up too much yet. So I think he's a great play. I know Jalen Duran didn't play today, but he's someone that I've played a lot. I mean, if he does play, he's someone I have interest in. He's just been performing very, very well. We saw Bagley get the start tonight. So depending on what happens, that could be a value piece for us, depending on if Duran is in tomorrow. Cade Cunningham, ton of usage that runs through him. He's priced up there, but I think he's an interesting tournament play. And then, I guess on the value side, you could maybe look at like Isaiah Stewart, Killian Hayes. But for me, most of the interest is probably on Thompson, Bagley if Duran doesn't go, and Cunningham for tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, it is a back-to-back, but it's a very young team. So I'm not too concerned about minutes in this game for really anybody. We saw Marcus Sasser come out of nowhere and have a really solid game on Wednesday. He's still really cheap. I don't know how much I trust that. If Alec Burks sits, I think you could potentially go back there. But if Alec Burks plays, I think the minutes go back to Alec Burks, and we don't get a ton of run here. Isaiah Stewart was dealing with a little bit of foul trouble. Still ended up getting like 33 minutes. I don't think he could be as aggressive as we kind of wanted him to be. Bagley started really good. He started so good. It was like, oh, he's gonna smash, and then didn't do anything.
Exactly.
Ceiling, I still think it's Cunningham and Thompson. If Duran plays, I like him. If he sits, I don't mind taking some shots here, because I could see a world in where New Orleans is like, all right, well, it's early in the season. The last thing we want right now is Zion getting hurt, and they sit Zion in this game, and then like the bigs for Detroit get a little bit of a bump with no Zion and potentially no Ingram. So let's talk about the New Orleans side. Obviously, we'll be paying attention to this Ingram news. I like Hawkins again. If Ingram is out, he drew the start again on Wednesday, and he was off to a good start. Yeah, he's played 37 minutes. He has 30 fantasy points right now with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So I don't mind going back to Jordan Hawkins. This price came up a little bit. It's up 800 to 4,600. I still think he's too cheap if Ingram sits. If Zion ends up sitting in this game, they could sit Zion, they could sit Valanciunas. There's a lot of ways they could approach this with these guys. If Zion and Ingram are out, CJ McCollum becomes one of my favorite plays on the entire slate in this one. Detroit's not a great defensive team. I could see taking some shots on Larry Nance or Herb Jones if Zion sits. So it's really just, for me on New Orleans, I want to see the injury report. I hate saying that the night before, but I think the injury report is going to dictate a lot of what we're doing here with the Pelicans.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I really like the Hawkins call. I think he could be one of the top values for sure, depending on what things look like. And, even if Zion does play, he's still priced up there. He's not someone I probably am going to have interest in on a back-to-back. And I think this could be a game potentially where we see some good value pieces. You mentioned Nance too. I think that'd be interesting. Herb Jones, some of those guys. But yeah, I would say Hawkins is probably definitely a guy I have my eye on.
All right, Orlando, my Magic heading to Utah to face the Jazz. 223 total here. Jazz a 1.5 point favorite. First of all, if you live in a betting state, I really like Orlando plus 1.5 in this game. Second of all, nobody on the injury report for either team, so that's good news for both of these teams and DFS purposes. We'll start here with the Magic. Usage is really spread out for the Magic so far this season. Like, we're seeing Cole Anthony get some usage off the bench of that second unit. We're seeing like Jalen Suggs become more and more involved, and they're like trusting him a lot more here. So I think Jalen Suggs would probably be my favorite play for the Magic because he's 5K, and they've really opened up the trust and the minutes for him trusting him in certain situations. I'm a Magic fan. I watch a lot of Magic games. So I think Suggs would be my favorite. And then like, I still think Franz Wagner has the highest ceiling on this team. I know we all want it to be Banchero, but Franz has the usage. Like his usage rate's 25, and that's the highest outside of Cole Anthony. What are your thoughts here on the Magic?
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I agree. And Wagner's, price really doesn't move a whole lot, but the minutes are so solid, 35, 37, 32 minutes. Yeah, I think he has great upside. He's someone I have a lot of interest in. Yeah, certainly you can throw Banchero, and I think that's fine. I like your Suggs call a lot too, because he is getting some more minutes, got some good upside at 5K. Markelle Fultz is someone I've played a little bit as well. He's 5.5K. I think he's a fine play too. But yeah, Wagner is a guy that I definitely circled, and someone that I have interest in on this 4-game slate, probably the most out of on the Orlando side.
Yeah, Magic are tough because, I mean, like I said, the usage is really spread out, and they're using a really deep bench, but it's a 4-game slate. So, and everyone that has been listening to the Morning Grind for the first like week and a half of the season, they know that like I'm on team Cole Anthony. I like Cole Anthony. I like his usage, but I mean, over the last couple of games, we've seen Jalen Suggs really get trusted in spots. So, as much as I hate to say it, I think this is a spot that we look at Suggs. Utah, I didn't write down Utah on a back-to-back, and I've been saying 3 teams on a back-to-back. Utah's on a back-to-back as well, so there's 4 of the 8 teams. That's my bad. So we don't know about their injury report. I don't assume anybody sits here for Utah. I don't think there's much risk. Maybe Markkanen, but I doubt it. What do you like here for the Jazz?
Yeah, for the Jazz, I'm interested in Lauri Markkanen. Just really like him. He's been playing very, very well. I think he's a good tournament play, putting up a lot of good fantasy points, rebounds, points per game, all of that. So I like him. I think Jordan Clarkson, I certainly think he's someone that you can throw into the conversation too. I was just going to look up his price. He's 5,400. So yeah, he's a good price point there. I think, on the tournament side, Talen Horton-Tucker, I think, if that's fine. John Collins too. He's still at a pretty good price point too, but probably my favorite is Lauri Markkanen. And I do like Clarkson for the value piece too.
I will say, yesterday on the podcast, I was talking about how this is a really good spot for Kelly Olynyk, but we can't trust his minutes. 17 fantasy points and not even halftime yet. So I never would have played him because of the minutes, but doing his thing, good. It was a good spot for him. And THT got in a little bit of foul trouble, so I think that is one of the reasons that Olynyk got a little extra run. I will say this, and I talked about this on Expert Survey yesterday. So on Tuesday's Expert Survey, the Orlando Magic are playing at the slowest pace in the NBA, and they're the top defensive efficiency and top defensive rating team in the NBA to start the season. Not only are they playing deep, they have a lot of good defenders on the bench and on the starting rotation. So it's a tough spot for me to love anything here for Utah outside of the fact that it's a 4-game slate. So we have to like something here.
Right.
I think I would spend up elsewhere instead of Markkanen just because I think that some of these other spend ups have a little bit more upside. He's clearly the usage guy and the guy that has the highest ceiling on this team, so it's tough. I like Clarkson. I like your Clarkson call. 5,400. We know he's capable of these like 35-plus point games. So I think I would just take the cheap guy and hope that like the Magic don't slow him down too much. So I think that's where I lean with the Magic. I don't mind Horton-Tucker. I talked about him on the podcast yesterday. He's shown some upside here. Like in close games, he's played the minutes. I think this game's going to be close. I think the Magic win, but I think this game's going to be close overall. And I think that we hate doing it, but I think you could take some shots on THT in this spot. Finishing out, San Antonio at Phoenix, 225.5 total. Phoenix is 7.5 point favorite. Obviously, the biggest news that we'll be watching throughout the day, outside of the back-to-backs, is Booker is questionable. Beal and Lee are out, and nobody on the San Antonio side on the injury report. We'll start here with San Antonio. Wimby is obviously someone that has big ceiling. He's going to be inconsistent. I mean, at this point, we just have to accept it for what it is. He's going to be inconsistent. Vassell is someone that I really like. He's someone that when he's shooting well can have a big day because he'll get some assists and some rebounds. I think Vassell is someone you could potentially take shots on here. The guy I want to mention though, like from watching some Spurs games, like Zach Collins is playing really good.
Yes.
Like we all were like super excited about like, oh, Wimby and like, oh, this guy's gonna eat into Zach Collins. But I mean, they're playing together. They look good on the court together. They're closing with Sohan, so I think like you could potentially take shots on him. San Antonio is a team I think you want to target. I think this is the game to target. I think this is the best game on the slate for fantasy purposes. What are your thoughts on the Spurs?
Yep, I completely agree. And, I've been playing, I think with Wemby, like you said, you just have to accept the fact that, it's going to be inconsistent. The minutes are going to be inconsistent, but the upside is certainly there. And so I think for tournaments, I'm always going to have interest. And so he'll be someone that I'm focused on. He's under 8K on DK. So I like that a lot. I like your Vassell call too. I think he's interesting. And Zach Collins, I know I played him yesterday too. The upside is there. Still at a good price point too. He's just 6.3K. So I have a ton of interest in him. We've still got Jeremy Sohan, who is, he's got point guard eligibility. So, I think it's fine. He hasn't done as well as, we kind of maybe expected him to do. Did get 30 minutes the last game, 24.3 fantasy points. So I think you could, include him in the pool as well. Keldon Johnson. But yeah, I'm definitely going to have some Wemby in tournaments. And definitely, like you said, you want to get some exposure to this game going against Phoenix.
Yeah, I think like San Antonio is a team you could probably play 2 or 3 pieces from, depending on who they are, and just take shots and just hope this game is competitive. The Phoenix side, if Booker's out again, Kevin Durant probably the top play on the slate. I'm sorry about like the spot for Wemby. It's going to be really tough for him. And like we just kind of just saw this game last night on Tuesday night for people that are watching live on Wednesday. And Kevin Durant got like hit in the face and the ball stolen from him with like 4 seconds to go in the game, and they made a layup and like the Spurs ended up winning the game. But like Kevin Durant is going to come out firing. I feel he was frustrated. And like he should be. He was bleeding on his face because he got hit in the face and they didn't call the foul. So if Booker plays, it changes a little bit on how you approach Phoenix here. But if Booker's out, I like Gordon. I like Allen. I think Goodwin's a solid value. I think Okaji's a good value. Yeah, I mean, we load back up on Phoenix again.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. Like you said, it really hinges on what happens here with Booker. But yeah, I absolutely love the price points for Eric Gordon, Grayson Allen, and they've been putting up good points in with a lot of minutes too. Okaji is very, very cheap too, so I think he's about one of the better value plays. And then I'd throw Nurkic in there too, for tournaments too. He's been playing well as he's 7K priced up there a little bit, but yeah, a lot of interest in those guys, and we'll kind of see what happens to Booker. But if Booker's out, definitely loading up on a lot of the value in Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix, you kind of, for this slate purposes, you want Booker to like, hey, let's take one more day.
Right, exactly.
Let's take one more day and load up on the Phoenix side of this game. So, I mean, it looks like a really juicy spot for this game. I mean, what did it end up the other night? It was like I think it was 114, 115. That's 229. It's really solid for this slate. All right, let's play the morning grind game and have some fun with this one. And we'll use DraftKings pricing and scoring. The next time Christy comes on, I'm going to make this game FanDuel. I'm going to make this game FanDuel just for Christy, but we'll use DraftKings today because I already wrote down my answers, so can't go back on it now. Favorite play under 5,000 on DraftKings to go 7x today. Who do you got?
Yeah, I am going to go with I'm actually going to go with Jordan Hawkins. I really like him. I think he's probably going to get the minutes, just kind of banking on some rest there. But I like Jordan Hawkins.
That's who I wrote down. There you go. Super solid. That's the exact person I had written down. Now I'm scrambling. I think like even if Ingram comes back and like maybe we potentially see, oh my gosh, I can't think of his name right now, Zion sit.
Yeah.
I think like that could still lead to minutes for Hawkins. So I'm with you on that. I think I'm gonna go Okaji here and just kind of bet on Booker maybe taking one more day off. I don't like Okaji as much if Booker sits or plays, but I think Okaji at 4,500, he's someone that can get 7x. His price keeps up and down, up and down, up and down. I think this is a solid spot. Over 8K to go under 5x. Who is your bust on this slate?
My bust is, we kind of alluded to it a little bit with Scotty Barnes eating into his usage, but I'm going to go Pascal Siakam for my bust.
All right, I like that one. I'm going to go Markkanen. I know Markkanen's the man, and I think he's super talented. Just trust in the Magic defense, and he's 9K. I mean, if they slow him down a little bit and he gets like 40, I don't know if that's enough on this slate. So I'm going to go Markkanen for my bust today. Favorite 6X play, price doesn't matter. Who do you got getting 6X today?
My 6X play, I am actually going to go. I am going to go Thompson, Ozzy Thompson for the Pistons.
I like that. That guy he's super talented. I think he is someone we're going to be talking about for a while. I think he's really, really talented. So like that call. I mean, I really wish we had the injury news for the Pelicans here, because I would pick somebody, I think, from the Pelicans, but not knowing that news. If Booker sits, I mean, obviously I think Durant is the like top 6X play. I'm going to stick with like, give me Vassell. I think he's going to have a good game. Give me Vassell, Devin Vassell to get 6X today. I think this is a really good spot for him. I know he's really close to 6X the other night in the same game. Let's get weird. GPP play of the day. We don't have ownership night before. It's a 4-game slate. Do the best you can thinking about, someone that's going to potentially go overlooked on the slate.
Yeah, I think someone I am probably interested, going to go maybe a little bit overlooked is, let's go with, I just think because there's a lot kind of in this price point too, I am going to go with Tyrese Maxey. He's priced up there, but we've definitely seen some good upside from him. So
I think he'll be lower owned, and like it's a 4-game slate. I don't think he's going to be 5%. But I think with him being in the price range of like Cunningham and Barnes and Wemby, I think he could go overlooked. I like that call. I'm kind of in the same mindset here. I think Grayson Allen, Eric Gordon, or Jordan Goodwin, like these guys are going to get ownership. So I'm going to go to my boy Jalen Suggs. Really like what I've seen recently for Jalen Suggs. He's my Let's Get Weird GPP play of the day. Christy, always fun. Glad you're doing well. And any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, for a 4-game slate, I kind of like it. It should be an interesting one. Enough places to get a little bit different. So yeah, great doing the show with you too, Stevie. Good to see you.
Always. I hope everyone enjoyed. I'm going to go and get some water. If you're watching live, we'll be live with the football NFL podcast or morning grind in about 10 minutes. So come back and hang out with us for that. Appreciate Christy for being on here for the NBA show. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday, talking NBA, talking in-season tournament. It should be fun. We'll see. Hope everyone has a fantastic Thursday. We'll see you again tomorrow.